Welcome in to another edition of Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host. Where the 99 Lead. It's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, where we bring you information on all programs in and around the University of Pikeville. Today, we talk about the MBA program at the University of Pikeville, and special guest, Director of Admissions and a part of the student body of the MBA program, Gary Justice. Welcome in.
Hey, thanks a lot, Andrew. Always a pleasure being back.
You thought you were finished when you wrapped up the bachelor's degree, and then the University of Pikeville begins the MBA program, the Master's of Business Administration, and it's a great new program at the university. And of course, the Master's of Business Administration, I guess about a year and a half in now.
Closing on 2 years, correct.
Right.
We graduated in May, and this has been a program that I've learned a lot from. It really takes real-world situations and allows you to the things you learn to apply those to those situations. So really increasing your education. Also just being in a cohort with other business leaders throughout the community, you learn a lot just from conversing with those folks as well.
Also a guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead, Andrew Kelly, part of that initial cohort with the MBA program. Welcome in.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here today.
Great to have you. We want to talk about a competition that the MBA cohort participated in. That's part of today's edition of Where the 99 Lead. And of course, Where the 99 Lead, we talk about those historic 99 steps that lead to campus and also lead from campus into the world. And in this particular case, they led to the All-Tech competition. We'll talk more about that as this show goes on. But Gary, first of all, let's talk about the MBA program at the University of Pikeville. If someone's just tuned in and they're first hearing about the MBA program, let's educate some folks. It did start nearly 2 years ago. You're a semester and a half in the final semester now with the first cohort, and let's talk about plans for that and the number of students involved.
Well, currently, Andrew, it's a cohort style. So what happens is when the students come in, you take the same courses all the way throughout. The whole cohort does. So you don't have to worry about trying to get this class this semester, that class next semester. Everybody takes the same class at the same exact time.
Sure.
And it's a hybrid approach, so you have some classes that are online, some classes you do it in classroom. Mainly, the most of the classes are in the classroom, so you get that one-on-one attention with the professors. Even though it's a graduate program, MBA program, you still have the same support as the undergraduate students do as well. If people want more information about the MBA program or interested in attending the MBA program, Dr. David Smith is the MBA program director, and they can call the Office of Admissions 606-218-5251 for more information.
And of course, the MBA program, it's designed for those that are already a part of the business world, that have completed a bachelor's degree. I would imagine the classes, the online classes, a lot of that's set up so that they can still continue to support their family and continue their education.
Correct, Andrew. The online courses mainly during the summer because the university recognizes a lot of people have families and also vacation plans. It's tougher to get to a class during the summer, but during the fall and spring semesters, the classes are on either Monday or Tuesday nights and either Wednesday or Thursday nights from 6 to 8:40. So it allows the working professional to finish their job at 5 p.m., have enough time to travel and get to class. So it's very flexible for the working professional.
But challenging as well with time management, able to continue a 40-hour plus hour week, take care of family responsibilities, and then get the classroom work done too.
Yeah, it's something that I was kind of worried about, being out of school for 15 years and then going back. It's like, well, can I really do this? And the program is set up where those fears are going away pretty quickly. And the unique thing about the program that I feel blessed about is being able to go through the classes and then go to the next day to work and use those things that we just learned the night before.
Right. Very good. We're going to talk today a little more about the MBA program, the cohort that recently participated in a competition. And we've read about that. Of course, the University of Pikeville, along with the University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, all involved in a competition held by the All-Tech Corporation. Tell us how that competition all got started. Where did the ideas come from?
Well, this was Pierce Lyons, who runs All-Tech, founded All-Tech, contacted David Smith, our MBA program director, told him about wanting us to do some economic development plans for Eastern Kentucky. He saw the need in Eastern Kentucky, and he wanted to bring together 3 MBA programs. These business plan competitions happen all across the country. And Pierce Lyons wanted to see if he can do something for Eastern Kentucky, and he brought together UK, U of L, and University of Pikeville. And the purpose of the program was you had to design a program from beginning to end. How would you stimulate the economy in Eastern Kentucky?
Sure.
And Pierce Lyons, to make it interesting, put some prize money along with it, so it gave us a lot of, besides just being a class project, you had some cash, which always motivates everybody to win a little bit of cash.
Sure. We've got other students that will join us a little later. Casey Price will join us, and from what I understand, that he will give us the details of the business plan and all involved in that. But in a very general sense, tell us the basic economic business plan.
Well, we're going to be located in the Honey Branch Industrial Park over in Martin County,
right,
producing organic fruits and vegetables for the area. And our vision is to bring more and more business, create a few jobs, but bring more and more offerings where people want to come to Eastern Kentucky, whether it be restaurants or grocery stores, and buy organic food.
Sure. Aquaponics.
Aquaponics.
I've heard about it, and it's something that I know a lot of organizations are interested in, and it certainly can be used for economic development. Put together some reclaimed strip mine sites to use as well with the industrial park in Martin County. It's an interesting plan. I can't wait to hear more about it. Let's talk about the process. The competition with UK, U of L, you've talked about Alltech and Pierce Lyons, how he got that started and his plan for that. Let's talk about the initial meetings. Let's talk about how the folks from the University of Pikeville MBA program found out what the competition was all about, and maybe your first meeting with your competitors.
Our leadership, and Dr. David Smith and Dr. David Snow, really led us through the program and led us through the competition. We have 22 people in our MBA cohort. We all divided up in groups of 4 or 5, and we had a local competition on November 14th in Chrisman Auditorium on the campus of the University of Pikeville. We had independent judges that come in that night. We presented our plans that night as well.
Sure.
And a team was selected on November the 14th to go on and compete against the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville.
Very good.
We really relied on Dr. David Snow. He'd been a part of some business plan competitions in the past, and he really led us in the right direction, helped us prepare for this competition, which is it's a lot of fun, and we learned a lot through the competition as well.
4 or 5 groups of 4 or 5 on the local level competed for a chance to move on from the University of Pikeville. Let's hear about the other members of the team. Andrew Kelly, obviously, Casey Price.
Myself, Gary Justice, and also Jan Hunt and Jeremy Gist as well.
Very good. And that's the team. What's the future of UPike participating, competing in future business plan competitions? Do you see this as becoming an annual event?
I do see it being an annual event, and also maybe even competing in other places in the country as well. Dr. Pierce Lyons was very pleased with the showing that the University of Pikeville had at the competition, and he called Governor Patton on that Saturday afternoon after the competition and told him how proud he was of the University of Pikeville, how the presentation was very thorough and very professional as well. So I see University of Pikeville receiving more invitations to come back and compete in the Alltech competitions, along with competing with other across the country. What I'm excited about is we're able to use our experiences and help the other cohorts as they go through.
Sure.
We had Dr. David Snow, but it's sometimes kind of tough just having your professor lead you. But if you have a peer who can lead you through the process, it seems like it can go a little bit smoother, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. Of course, you're tuned to Where the 99 Lead. It's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville. We talk all things regarding the university, and today we talk about the MBA program, and more specifically, a recent business plan competition hosted by the Alltech Corporation. Gary Justice, Director of Admissions at the University of Pikeville, our guest, also a member of the MBA cohort that participated in the competition, and Andrew Kelly, also one of the team members. And Andrew, I've got to ask, Alltech Corporation, it's known across the Commonwealth, and it's a global company, but it's well recognized in the business community. Well, what were your impressions of the Alltech Corporation?
My initial impressions were just really amazement at the Alltech Corporation, how one individual, Dr. Pierce Lyons, can take a small investment of $10,000 in a business that's based out of his garage and develop it into the multi-million-dollar corporation that it is today.
Sure. And, of course, that's one of those rags to riches stories that we hear about, but it can act as a motivational tool for anyone that's involved in the business world, whether it be on a bachelor's level or a master's degree level. How, in your opinion, will UPike's involvement in the competition help open doors in the future for MBA students?
I think that by initially competing in this competition, that it will go back somewhat to what Mr. Justice said, that opening doors to compete in future business competitions in the future, whether they be held at Alltech or other universities, or even possibly having them hosted here at the university themselves, that can branch out and open doors for many individuals for the years to come.
Gary, you talked about the competition and the cohort of 22 dividing into groups of 4 or 5. We've mentioned your team of 4 or 5. The different groups, the different members from the cohorts, did they all have different plans, or were all of the groups playing aquaponics?
Everybody had different plans.
Wow.
There was one global recycling, which we dealt with recycling of trash. We had a technology based. We had one business plan that was submitted for a themed hotel, so kind of sort of like a amusement hotel. It had some rides and also water parks and that type of thing. So everybody had a different project, a different plan. So it was neat to hear all the different competition submissions on November 14th.
And those are 4 separate ideas to promote economic development in Eastern Kentucky. And while only one went to the competition, those are 4 ideas that are out there for some entrepreneur now to take and run with and bring us these different ideas and bring them to fruition. So
also, Dr. Smith, on that night of November 14th, he had, even though we had the judges in the room, he also had other investors in the room as well. So maybe another idea didn't win the competition to advance on to Alltech, but maybe it caught the eye of an investor.
Right.
And it's very similar to what happened to Alltech as well. It was the competition had judges, but then also Dr. Pierce Lyons had other investors in the room who actually heard the presentations. And I'm proud to say the University of Pikeville, we've already heard from 2 investors who really liked the sounds of our business plan.
Very good. Could grow into something big, and there are some of the top 5 companies worldwide that started in garages. Could be the next big thing, comes from a small meeting room on the University of Pikeville campus. Andrew Kelly, a member of the team, how did your group arrive at your plan for the aquaponics?
It was just something as simple as we were sitting in class one evening and we were bouncing ideas off of each other back and forth about, what could we do that could really bring economic development to this area. And we probably had 20 to 25 ideas. Sure. And then Mr. Price initially came up with aquaponics and started telling us about that and the benefits of doing a business like this and the initial startup cost, how they were very low. Right. You could have potential, great increases in profits. And we were like, that's definitely what we need to do.
Sure, absolutely. Had you ever heard of aquaponics before that?
Before that, no. That was the first initial I had heard about it. I think I was with everyone else thinking, what is aquaponics? But the more we looked into it, the more we became passionate about it, and we just rolled with it.
Right. Gary, had you heard of it?
No, I never did hear it until Casey started mentioning it. But once we started delving into it, it's a really neat, easy thing to come up with. You just got to have the proper business plan and in place for financially to be stable and be viable. So it's exciting.
We're going to talk with Casey Price about it, the details guy, and the guy that brought that to the group, aquaponics. Who knows? Casey may have already had a plan. Maybe he was just looking for a little help.
If anybody knows Casey Price, they know he already had a plan.
Yes. So we'll learn more details about aquaponics during this edition. We'll continue. We'll talk about the UPike MBA program and the business plan competition. Recently, UPike has returned from competing against UK, University of Louisville, and our UPike students held their own. We'll come back with more on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. We'll talk with Casey Price when we come back.
The University of Pikeville has developed a Master of Business Administration with you in mind. Whether you want to embark on a new career path, learn to do your job better, or increase your earning potential, the MBA program at the University of Pikeville is ready to help you advance. Designed for the working professional, you don't have to put your life on hold to come back to school. It's your time, your university. UPike MBA.
Welcome back into this edition of Where the 99 Lead. We're discussing the University of Pikeville MBA program, and more specifically, the MBA Business Plan competition recently conducted by the Alltech Corporation. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, joined by Casey Price, a member of the team that represented the University of Pikeville. Casey, welcome in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we understand that you are the detail guy as far as the general topic of the business plan, aquaponics. Yes. And we'll talk more about that in just a few moments. I had some vague knowledge of what aquaponics was, and I guess a near cousin, hydroponics, prior to UPike participating in this competition. But before we get there, I wanted to ask the process of the team. You were in a small group, 4 people competing for the University of Pikeville that went on to the statewide competition, the Alltech competition. What process did your group go through to come up with this business plan?
So whenever you look at the business plan aspects of things, we first came at this as a class project. That's the way it really started, was the class project, and we built from that. So we went into this, and I know you talked a little bit earlier about the process of just generating ideas. And so an idea for a business comes with something that you're already interested in most of the time. We went through some, and we talked about earlier, a few things about maybe brewing or some different agriculture, but still fun-based ideas. And so we went to the idea of aquaponics because it was something that was simple, but you could build upon it and make it very detail-oriented in the business plan.
Right.
Aquaponics is basically a combination of 2 things, hydroponics and aquaculture. You combine growing fish together with growing plants, fruits, vegetables. You can grow trees. There's people that have grown banana trees in this sort of environment. But so you combine the 2 things together that are traditionally pretty wasteful. If you look at aquaculture by itself, you're having to go through a lot of water. A lot of water goes into the process. Then there's waste in that, fish excrement, if you will, and then that gets washed out of the system by pumping in fresh water.
Right.
So you've got to figure out some way to deal with that waste. And then on the other end with the plants, you add salts, you add nitrogen, you add these chemicals to it that help the plants to grow, but they're not getting it naturally like they would from the soil, from decaying plant matter or something along that line.
Sure.
So in order to, if you combine these 2 things together, you can take the waste from processing fish or from growing fish, and you add that waste over into the plants, and they love it. They eat this stuff up.
Sure.
It gets transformed into the just the right kind of nutrients for some of these plants. And so whenever you make this combination of aquaculture and hydroponics, or basically growing plants in water,
right,
you reduce all the waste, and it's just a happy little ecosystem that just loves the environment that it's in, and you get a lot of growth out of these plants.
I know hydroponics has been used across the nation in different situations, and it's something that has taken on situations where school systems use a huge amount of foods.
Yes.
Institutions use a huge amount of foods and produce, and these are types of vegetables, as an example, that can be stored for a long amount of time, longer than traditional produce.
Well, the fact of the matter is that whenever you look at the way we're wanting to do it, we're doing local. So by the time your food gets to you, it's traveled somewhere between 2,000 to 4,000 miles, depending on what part of the globe it's really gone to and what hubs it had to go through to get to you. And that process could take a few weeks. And so whenever food gets shipped, it's a lot of times shipped raw, or shipped in a state, not necessarily just raw, but shipped in a state where it's unripe. And so you have to chemically ripen it when it gets here in some cases. And the food just doesn't have as much nutrients and flavor. There's a lot of flavor that gets developed in those last few days of growth. And so whenever you don't have to ship your food, it's right there, and it's fresh, and it's flavorful, and it's pure. And that's what makes this type of growing so beautiful.
Right. And it's not just an organic type of food. but the freshness will be there, and obviously it would be an economic benefit. I would imagine less shipping costs because you're not shipping things across the country. You have something that's grown locally. Let me ask a question. If you're growing produce in eastern Kentucky, where would your market be?
So that's the great thing about Pike County and Pikeville especially, because we really like this market because it's so healthcare and health centric. Whenever you look at some of these areas that have a Whole Foods or they can deal with getting the right kind of organic foods to market. Pike County has that market, and our local food city is great because they've got between 30 and 40 aisle feet of organic fruits and vegetables. Sure. And so we know that when we go into the store, and a lot of times it's in fine print because they don't want you to know, the people that grow this stuff. But
right.
They have to put it on there where it basically comes from, especially if it's imported.
Right.
And so if you look at the back of it, and you see this time of year, especially in the winter, you're going to get your vegetables from, at the very best, it's going to be California, but it could be somewhere like Mexico, or your fish may come from Honduras.
Sure.
So whenever you look at where these fruits and vegetables are coming from, you're not only having something that's local and fresh, but you're also going to employ the people around here to produce those fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. Part of the business plan, what types of products would be produced under the business plan that was presented?
Yeah. So let's take a look at tilapia, because that's our base fish, and that's one of the fish that's really taking on a lot of popularity.
Sure.
It's something that's being used in restaurants more and more often.
Yes.
And if you go to the supermarket, say Food City again here in Pikeville, you'll find tilapia right there in the fresh fish section. They've got tilapia fillets and tilapia tenderloins, both. So it's one of those fish that takes a lot of the. It doesn't have a real fishy flavor. It's a very mild fish, and so you've got a lot of bases there to add other spices and do what you want with that. So we like that as a fish.
You've got my attention.
So great. Whenever you talk about,
I'm a fan of tilapia.
Yeah. So then we take that tilapia and then we can build an entire menu out of just what we grow. So you take that tilapia and we can grow herbs and spices. We can grow cilantro, and we can grow all these bay leaves and any types of herbs and spices that you really would like to add to that fish or to anything else. We can grow that there.
Right.
Now those are the high dollar ones, but we also like the idea of growing leafy greens because we don't like the thought of pesticides being sprayed on your leafy greens, especially when you try to wash that off, it doesn't all come off. And so you really like having that pure head of lettuce or other green vegetables. And so taking those, we can build an entire menu out of just what we grow inside of our greenhouse.
Right. That was the business plan presented at the competition.
Yeah.
Growing fish, growing the herbs, growing some leafy vegetables. How would those businesses help economic development in eastern Kentucky?
Well, everybody pays tax dollars, and that's the great thing about being situated in eastern Kentucky is the tax dollars that we generate here for the jobs that will create those income taxes. They'll be paid not only to the local county community, but also to the state. And so whenever you look at the tax dollars going in, that's a great push. But then you're also looking at the health benefits. Because Medicaid, Medicare, those types of programs, they've really got, whenever you look at health in general, there's a big cost based on what people eat and how they eat. And there's a big uprising cancer rates. And it's not really, we're not sure where that's coming from. But if we can take fewer and fewer additives and take those additives out of our food, just the external benefits that you get from eating a better product can really possibly bring about around a better economy there.
Tilapia, herbs, leafy greens, and grown right here in eastern Kentucky. We mentioned earlier the Honey Fork Industrial Park in Martin County. This would be the scene of this proposed business and the business plan. How much space does it take for this certain project?
So we're looking at a greenhouse that takes up about a space of 1 acre, so a footprint of 1 acre, and it's not that large, but we can provide the fruits and vegetables and fish for this area. And the way our business plan works is we're not looking to take this area and supply California or supply somewhere else with our fruits and vegetables. We want to take our ideas and our processes of growing, and we want to move that to other areas. So let's take, for instance, our growing, because we don't only do fruits and vegetables. We take hops. We're looking at growing hops in a greenhouse environment, which grow up to about 25, 30 feet tall. And so we're also looking at ginseng, which is a big cash crop for Eastern
huge
Kentucky.
cash.
Eastern Kentucky's, from what I understand and from some of our meetings, Eastern Kentucky is one of the largest exporters of wild-grown ginseng in the world. And so, American ginseng, pardon me.
Right.
And so whenever you look at the cash crop that we've got here, if we could find a way that we could study it and create a chemically equivalent version of it in an aquaponic environment, it could potentially raise quite a bit of money just by itself.
You're talking about a 1 acre site. What type of production would it? What type of production output?
So whenever you look at the fruits and vegetables, we're looking at fish harvest. You're looking at probably 600 to 900 heads of fish every 3 months, which isn't going to be our main crop, but that's really going to be a supplement to our fruits and vegetables, which will be harvested on a weekly to monthly basis, depending on what our the crop's growth lifespan is and what the need is at that time.
Right.
So we're looking at being able to produce quite a bit in the $6,000 to $12,000 worth of lettuce in a month's period. So whenever you take this and look at some of the other crops that we're going to produce, we haven't got the exact numbers down yet or the exact number of, but we're looking somewhere around 1,000 plants every couple weeks.
Right. You look at some of the industrial parks that are located throughout Eastern Kentucky. A 1 acre plot is not a huge piece of real estate, and there are some industrial parks that have hundreds of acres. This could become a big project, and with the right investor and the right market, this could be something that may be served an entire region.
Absolutely. And we're looking at our process of growing is something that really hasn't been looked at in the past, and that's a franchise system. So we would bring the system that we've got, the 3-tiered system where we grow sun-loving vegetables on top, and underneath that, the mid-level light needed, or the plants that need mid-level light, and then below that, plants that need no light, like bean sprouts.
Sure.
And so you take that and you can patent that idea, and then franchise based off of that 1 acre greenhouse plot. You can move that wherever you want and have somebody else run it.
Absolutely. All right, I'm looking forward to tilapia and the other fruits and vegetables. When can I expect my first crop?
Well, we've been in talks with investors right now, and we're hopefully going to be talking a little bit more with them so we can figure out exactly when we can start doing this.
You seem excited about this
Absolutely.
project.
That's one of the things about you. They say if you do something you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And that's, whenever we looked at this project, that's really what personally I had was the thought that if we could do something that I really wanted to do, then we wouldn't have to worry about working.
An investor comes in and wants to buy this project. Who owns it?
Well, we do. It's the 4 of us or 5 of us right now, and that's Jeremy, and then Andrew, myself, Jan Hunt, and then Gary Justice.
Who's the CEO?
We actually have looked at some exterior individuals because we weren't well versed in starting up businesses. None of us had done it individually,
Right.
and so we saw what we could do, and that's one of the reasons that we brought on Jan Hunt, who I don't think we've talked about much, but she's been a really big part of this project. She's our Chief Financial Officer, and she really has worked with the numbers. She's a CPA.
Right.
She's certified in accounting and auditing, and there's a lot of different areas where she's got expertise. And we brought her on board because we knew that we needed that. And we've got a person who's our CEO, and then we've also got some advisors in the agriculture industry as well.
I'll tell you, it's an exciting project, and I can see the excitement that you have, and it all began with a class project for a competition.
Yes.
Casey Price, what do you take away from this business competition experience?
It's great to get down there and see. This is the first type of competition that I've ever been involved with, and I believe my classmates have as well. And so whenever we went down to see what the other competitors had and what they brought to the table, we looked at that and we got a good idea. We'd done our research before, so we knew what to expect, and I think we went down there and showed what we could do and showed well. But when we come back and say, what can we do better, what can we do next time, I think we've got some ideas of what we can add to the next cohort that comes through.
No doubt about it. And who better to ask about economic development in Eastern Kentucky than Eastern Kentuckians? And we're proud of the University of Pikeville MBA program and their business plan at the Alltech Corporation. Great showing there. Our UPike students right there on the same level as UK and University of Louisville. We know that. Now the rest of the state knows
Absolutely.
it. Casey, thanks for being on.
Thank you.
And that's Casey Price, a part of the team, along with thanks to Gary Justice on earlier, along with Andrew Kelly, part of the UPike team at the All-Tech Corporation competition with business plans. You've been tuned to Where the 99 Lead. It's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia.